Okay, so yeah, so as you have these, I guess, capitalist, actually, imagine that there's a B here, whatnot, just to kind of show that, like, this is one capitalist nation, but then this is just, a bunch of colonial nations that are conquered by kind of imperial nations. So with that being said, so it's like, so as you kind of have, so as you have these capitalist countries, as you have these imperialist countries or whatnot, right, export their surpluses to of markets abroad or into these foreign markets or whatnot, right? You start to have a division of the world among great powers or whatnot, right? Where basically you have a partition. So yeah, you have from Lenin basically knows from 1876 to 1900 or whatnot. You have a partition of the globe or whatnot between a few imperialist powers or whatnot, right? You have basically, if I remember correctly, like you have Germany being the latecomer or whatnot, but you have like you have Britain, and then you have France or whatnot, and then you have the U.S. or whatnot also at this time or whatnot. So you have basically the globe be partitioned by just a few advanced capitalist countries or whatnot, right? So the colonial policy of these powers, at this time aimed to monopolize control over the sources of the sources of raw materials and labor or whatnot, right, in specific territories or whatnot, right? However, right, however, there's an imbalance in the division of the world or whatnot, right? So you have basically older capitalist powers or whatnot start to stagnate or whatnot, right? Economically or whatnot, and then you have newer, emerging capitalist countries start to grow rapidly or whatnot. So like you have, Britain, which had been a capitalist country for a long time at this point, or whatnot, starts to stagnate or whatnot, and then you have Britain start to rapidly, you have Germany start to rapidly progress or whatnot, right? So this contradiction between economic development and colonial possessions or whatnot can only be solved through war and redivision between these powers. And I guess also to note about why do wars emerge or whatnot is as you have the globe partitioned or whatnot, right? As in just a few, as you have the globe partitioned or whatnot between a few powers or whatnot, right? You have these newer capitalist nations, or you have these rapidly advancing capitalist nations or whatnot, have the need to basically find new territories or whatnot, right? To expand their markets or whatnot. So necessarily, in order to do that, if the globe is already partitioned or whatnot, they need to basically, get engaged in war or whatnot, right? To put this in form of contradiction or whatnot, is you have two contradictions. You have the main contradiction here is capitalism has a need to find new markets or whatnot, right? Capitalism has the need to expand markets or whatnot, right? But this comes into contradiction with private property, or basically property rights or whatnot, right? So it's like if you already have the powers own certain parts of the globe or whatnot, right? The only way to resolve this conflict or whatnot is to repartition the globe. And how do you repartition the globe if not through politics or whatnot? You do it by war or whatnot, right? And in that sense or whatnot, right? War becomes politics through other means or whatnot, as kind of a cynical inversion of kind of the liberal saying of in the early bourgeois epoch, where it's like, oh, politics is war by other means. What you have in this period or whatnot is war becomes politics by other means or whatnot, right? Let me turn that on or whatnot, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So yeah, you have partition and war. So war is essentially a repartitioning of the globe or whatnot, right? It's a repartitioning of the globe or whatnot in order to, I guess, manage this contradiction or whatnot. Right? It's basically the crisis of this contradiction or whatnot, right? Okay, so you got this partition of the globe or whatnot, right? So during this time, whatnot, you have, during this time you have, the lead theoretician of the Second International, whatnot. If you remember, Karl Kautsky or whatnot, right? Karl Kautsky, who was who was in some sense the figurehead of Orthodox Marxism and whatnot. What ends up happening is, Lenin calls it. Lenin says that after 1914, after Kautsky votes for war credits or whatnot, Kautsky becomes a renegade or whatnot. That Kautsky being kind of this figurehead for Orthodox Marxism becomes not a revisionist, but instead a renegade, as Lenin will call him or whatnot, right? But one thing that Kautsky argues for or whatnot during this time is this idea of ultra imperialism or whatnot, right? Let's dissect this idea. What's Kautsky's conception of imperialism or whatnot, right? So, I mean, I would phrase that as Kautsky's conception of ultra imperialism is basically just an international economism. If you don't remember, when we were reading What Is to Be Done or whatnot, right? Who is Lenin fighting against in who is Lenin fighting against in What Is to Be Done, or why is he writing What Is to Be Done? He's trying to fight against this economist current or whatnot in Russia or whatnot, which basically says that the economic struggle, it's basically just focusing on the economic struggle or whatnot, right? Kautsky basically takes this up on an international level, because Kautsky's conception of imperialism, it basically separates the political dimension from the fundamental economic basis or whatnot, right? So for Kautsky or whatnot, politics and economics are two separate issues rather than an interconnected issue or whatnot, right? And this affects his analysis of imperialism or whatnot, right? Because let's see. Oh, sorry, let me read this. The basic features of imperialism, include the concentration of production and capital, as we put, the merging of bank and industrial capital, the exports of capital, and the formation of international monopolies. So that's something we've already noted. Yeah. So, well, I guess I should note, what's it called? I mean, Lenin is understanding that imperialism is a different political stage of capitalism. It's the highest stage of capitalism. Lenin's understanding that imperialism is not just this policy; it's a whole new phase. I don't want to call it epoch. It's a whole new phase of capitalism. Just kind of in the same way as neoliberalism. It's not about neoliberal policies. Neoliberalism is a different phase of capitalism, right? Right now, I think we've actually we're actually kind of post neoliberalism, or we're actually experiencing what is after that phase of neoliberalism or whatnot, right? But so Lenin makes this note or whatnot that imperialism is not just policies or whatnot; it's this new phase of capitalism. So and thus it's a different it's a different politics or whatnot, right? So Kautsky's whole conception of ultra imperialism, as comical as that sounds, is Kautsky basically claiming that as you have these international cartels, as you have these international monopolies or whatnot, right, they would lessen the unevenness and contradictions inherent in world capitalism or whatnot. So Kautsky thinks that it's actually a good thing or whatnot that we have a few oligarchies or whatnot around, or a few of these financial oligarchies in the world, because now you don't have an anarchy of production or whatnot, right? Now you actually have just a few powers or whatnot, actually managing with each other or whatnot. And then says actually, he says that finance, capital, and trust actually increase the unevenness in the rate of the growth between different parts of the world economy. Because Kautsky has this idea that insofar as you have these few powers or whatnot, right, you could basically start to level the globe or whatnot, right? You can basically you can manage all these contradictions, you can manage all these crises. If you remember Bernstein's argument in Reform or Revolution, Bernstein thought that with these with more of these reforms or with more of these economic reforms or whatnot, you can basically just smooth these contradictions or whatnot, right? And it was funny because a world war happened or whatnot, right? With this crisis, so it's Bernstein, what were you talking about? Kautsky is taking kind of a different perspective, because Kautsky's writing this or saying this after the war, or after World War I has started or whatnot, right? And he's saying this after the World War I has started or whatnot, right? And but Kautsky still has this idea that actually we have these international cartels or whatnot. No, we're actually in a period where it's we're going to see a leveling of the globe or whatnot. And Lenin's well, what are you talking about? Again, you have this kind of as we kind of talked about, we have this uneven development between these advancing capitalist countries or whatnot. These stagnating capitalist countries or whatnot, and then these undeveloped capitalist countries or whatnot. So Lenin actually says that no, not at all. He says actually, the finance, capital, and trusts have actually increased the unevenness in the rate of growth between different parts of the world economy, which actually is leading to all these wars between imperialist powers or whatnot, right? and the reason why Lenin is critiquing the Trotsky or whatnot is to basically point out the dangers of reformist ideas or whatnot, right? And because they're not addressing the underlying economic basis of imperialism. So yeah, so I guess maybe economism won't be the right word, but maybe it might be like an international like politicism or whatnot, where it's like because again, Trotsky's like separating the economic base from the the political or whatnot, right? Okay, yeah, and then. Yeah, and then So after this critique, well, I guess going more on this kind of critique of ultra-imperialism, Lenin talks about basically the decay of capitalism, this parasitism and decay of capitalism, where he explains that imperialism has led to an increasing parasitism in advanced imperialist nations, where a section of the population is living off of the dividends drawn from massive investments abroad or whatnot, right? So insofar as like you have you have a populace or whatnot that are living off of foreign capital or like foreign investments or foreign profits or whatnot, right? You have less of a profit motive in one's nation or whatnot for innovation or whatnot, right? So what this results in is it results in a stagnation and decay or whatnot for like these older capitalist nations. Does that make sense or whatnot? Like like why innovate or whatnot if you already have a market abroad or whatnot, right? So there's less of like a need to like stay relevant in the market or whatnot. So like what you start to see in these like advanced nations or whatnot is you start to see these advanced nations rather than like rapidly develop, you actually start to see them start to stagnate and decay or whatnot, right? And as monopoly prices eliminate, because it eliminates the incentive to invest in technological development, right? Because why try to like technically advance in your own nation or whatnot when again you have markets abroad or whatnot? So you start to have you start to have less technological progress or whatnot, or less technical progress, less innovations, less like I guess less innovations or whatnot within these capitalist nations, or within these like advanced capitalist nations or whatnot. And with these excess of profits or whatnot, right? Or with these monopoly profits or whatnot, right? The upper layers of the working class are able to be bribed or whatnot. And here's where Lenin uses the term labor aristocracy as a polemic or whatnot, right? Which I will say is kind of unfortunate because today or whatnot you'll hear like the Maoists or you'll hear like MLs or whatnot, heavily use this term of labor aristocracy or whatnot just to be like, oh, the first world isn't revolutionary because of why? Because of labor aristocracy, because they've been paid off or whatnot, right? But like here, Lenin's talking about the like this kind of like when it comes down to trade union leaders or whatnot, or when it comes down to this upper stratum of the working class, like, oh, it's because of these. It's because of like these upper layers are being bribed or whatnot, right, in order to like in some sense like suppress their discontent or whatnot. But it's very different from today because it's like, well, when you don't have a workers' movement, what the fuck do you mean there's a labor aristocracy or whatnot? It just means like, yeah, sure, like workers or whatnot. But like, because like now, like I think for me it's like when people use the term labor aristocracy today, it might be slightly anachronistic just because like, well, who are you bribing? It's like, no, like, yeah, there's welfare checks or whatnot, to like, I mean, heck, our welfare is being stripped away rapidly or whatnot, right? But during this time or whatnot, the reason why there is this labor aristocracy or whatnot is because, like, yeah, there's a workers' movement or whatnot, and the capitalists are trying to, curtail discontent by actually paying off the leaders, paying off the upper stratum of the working class, basically, preventing or whatnot these discontents from boiling over or whatnot to revolution or whatnot, right? It's placating the working class or whatnot, right? Yeah, so then we get into like basically the second to last chapter, and I was gonna say like if there's any, this work should be read fully, but particularly highly recommend people read the Critique of Imperialism chapter or whatnot, right? Because the Critique of Imperialism chapter is basically Lenin's huge, or like his big conclusion of like, okay, he's done this analysis or whatnot, right? Or he's done this analysis of imperialism. And his critique of imperialism, it says, okay, the critique of imperialism or whatnot, or like the critique of imperialism or whatnot takes different forms among different classes or whatnot, right? When it comes down to the propertier class, or when it comes down to the bourgeois class or whatnot, the bourgeoisie, like more often than not, they support imperialism. Of course they do. They make profits off of it or whatnot. Imperialism is a market advantage for the bourgeoisie or whatnot. And like of the more of the more liberal bourgeoisie or whatnot, right? All they ask for is kind of a reform of the violence of imperialism. All they want is in some sense they're okay with imperialism. All they wish is just for less a lessening of the violence, so whatnot, right? Or like reforming some of the most violent aspects of imperialism. So it's like they'd like to have a more friendly imperialism. That's fair to say or not, right? But the bourgeoisie ultimately they support imperialism or not, right? The petty bourgeois have a interesting antagonism towards imperialism, where they try to, they hold up these slogans of freedom, of democracy, of what's it called? Yeah, freedom, democracy. What else? Trying to remember. Yeah, freedom, democracy, competition as alternatives of imperialism. So the democratic petty bourgeoisie or whatnot, right? This kind of like you're kind of like rad-lib class or whatnot, right? The democratic petty bourgeoisie or whatnot, they react to imperialism or whatnot. So they react to imperialism where they basically either call for like a return to like a free market capitalism, where they basically react to capitalism by saying like, hey, we should go back to a more free market form of capitalism, or they try to call for like a more democratic. Well, they don't call for they're not calling for a democratic form of imperialism, but they're calling for a more democratic capitalism or whatnot, right? In some sense, they're trying to turn the clock back or whatnot, right? Or they're reacting to imperialism or whatnot, right? And Lenin says like, okay, well, what should be the position of the proletariat? Lenin says, okay, the proletariat opposes imperialism like the petty bourgeoisie, but they don't oppose imperialism, the proletariat opposes imperialism like the petty bourgeoisie, in the sense that the petty bourgeoisie or whatnot, is against imperialism. However, the petty bourgeoisie or whatnot is not reactionary. They're not trying to ask for a return to a free market capitalism or whatnot. Instead, the proletariat or whatnot, they actually see the developments that are occurring in imperialism, like the bourgeoisie, as progressive, because it's like, imperialism is an advance from monopoly capitalism. But for the proletariat or whatnot, they don't want this hyper exploitation of the working class or whatnot. So for the proletariat or whatnot, it's actually imperialism. Yeah, again, this is the dialectic between imperialism and revolution. Imperialism, insofar as imperialism is the highest stage of capitalism, imperialism is also the greatest opportunity, or is the highest opportunity for the proletariat to have a revolution. It is the greatest opportunity for socialism. So Lenin basically makes this argument that what should be the proletariat's position on imperialism? It is to advance it to socialism, or to lead a revolution or whatnot, right? So you have the bourgeoisie who support imperialism or whatnot, and you have more liberal bourgeoisie calling for the reform. You have the democratic petty bourgeoisie or whatnot, basically reacting to imperialism or whatnot, right? And then you have Lenin's argument, which is for the proletariat or whatnot, the imperialism should be understood as an opportunity for socialism, or a revolutionary stance or whatnot, right? So bourgeoisie, reform, petty bourgeois, reaction, proletariat, revolution or whatnot, right? And I guess to okay, I guess I'll read this last bit because there's. So I guess in the final chapter, Lenin characterizes imperialism is a stage of monopoly capitalism marked by monopolies, cartels, and the roles of so this is kind of a conclusion of this whole piece. Cartels, the roles of banks as monopolists of financial capital, and new colonial policies centered around the struggle for raw materials and capital exports and whatnot. Imperialism has led to an increase in the cost of living for people, has led to an increase in the cost of living for working people in, these first world nations, supposedly, or first world nations or whatnot, right? And a hyper exploitation of those in third world or whatnot, right? And which has caused an increased unevenness in the economic development of the globe. So it has intensified the contradictions or whatnot in the world or whatnot, right? So he sees that in some sense he sees that he sees imperialism or whatnot, or I guess these monopolies, oligarchical powers or whatnot, as a symptom of a transitional era and of a decaying or of a dying capitalism or whatnot, right? In the final chapter, Lenin thus argues that advanced capitalist nation states and cartels exploit both their own citizens and resources and peoples of other countries, creating a parasitic relationship that allows cartels to profit and expand. This ultimately relies on the use of force or threat of the use of force to protect private interest. Exploited nations are unable to achieve meaningful development due to this exploitation, which affects their ability to engage with each other and defend themselves or whatnot, right? This final point is, so imperialism has an all-encompassing power or whatnot, right? So, and that should be noted or whatnot. Again, for Lenin, imperialism is an epoch or whatnot, right? So it has an all-encompassing power or whatnot, right? It's not just like, it's not about policies or whatnot, right? It has an all-encompassing power or whatnot. It distorts the social and economic processes in both imperialist and colonized nations or whatnot, right? So Lenin makes this final point, or makes the final conclusion, which is he sees the struggle between. Well, also I guess I should note this here or whatnot, which is like as I was rushing to write these notes or whatnot, like I did pick up a few summarizers or whatnot, right, just to re-jog my memory, because we did the readings last week or whatnot, right? Because I actually kind of disagree with this last thing written on the screen or whatnot, which is like, the struggle between imperialism and decolonization. So it ends by saying, therefore, I guess there's a misunderstanding here where it's like, I don't know why I wrote this down, I didn't write this down. I think I would recall I was looking at something in a rush when I wrote this, which is, therefore the struggle between imperialism and decolonization is the most important conflict for the future of humanity. No, imperialism is an opportunity for socialism, right? I guess, okay, so that was a little derailing or whatnot. Going back to kind of this, because this is the most interesting part of this, the three different ways of, the three different ways or whatnot classes react to, or like classes respond to imperialism and whatnot. I want to read this one quote from Lenin in the military program of the military program of the proletarian revolution. So, this is because, I guess this is to clarify that Lenin was not an anti-imperialist, or at least not an anti-imperialist as how people understand today, where it's like, anti-imperialism just means this kind of resistance, or this kind of like this opposition to like policies of imperialism. No. If that's how anti-imperialism is to be understood, Lenin was not an anti-imperialist. Lenin was a socialist through and through, or whatnot, right? And so I want to read this quote out loud. So again, this is from Lenin's The Military Program of the Proletarian Revolution. He says, "The bourgeoisie makes it its business to promote trust, drive women and children into factories, subject them to corruption and suffering, condemn them to extreme poverty. We do not demand such development. We do not support it. We fight it. But how do we fight it? We explain that trust and employment of women in industry are progressive. We do not want to return to the handicraft system, pre-monopoly capitalism, domestic drudgery for women. Forward with the trust, but beyond them to socialism." So again, in this sense, imperialism is the highest stage of capitalism, but it's also the highest opportunity for socialism, for revolution or whatnot. Imperialism is the socialization that occurs in imperialism are the germs or whatnot for a socialist world or whatnot, right? So you see how between, in some sense, how the bourgeoisie and the petty bourgeoisie, how they see imperialism, how one supports it and then one opposes it or whatnot. How the proletariat actually has a dialectical view between them or whatnot, right? Where it's like, the proletariat opposes it or whatnot, right? But they oppose it or whatnot in the sense of they oppose the management of imperialism or whatnot, but they support the technical progress of imperialism or whatnot. So the task or whatnot for the proletariat or whatnot is to in some sense, have imperialism be an opportunity for socialism. Does that make sense of the dialectic that I'm trying to point out between proletariat's position on revolution and between the bourgeoisie and the petty bourgeoisie or whatnot, right? Because I guess something that I should notice is if you read this section or whatnot and you notice that Lenin's noted three positions: the bourgeoisie, the petty bourgeoisie, and the proletariat. This is true of just most philosophical works in general, or not even philosophical, just most works in general. If you're reading a work that has three sections or whatnot, usually there's a dialectic going on. Usually there's a first section or whatnot that says something affirmatively, there's a second section that says something negatively, and then the last section is usually most important because it's usually trying to create a dialectic between the first two or whatnot, right? So again, the proletariat has a dialectical view of imperialism and whatnot. And the reason why I have a dialectical view of imperialism is because imperialism and revolution are a dialectic or whatnot. They're dialectically intertwined. They're not separate issues or whatnot, right? And then next week we'll talk about the state of revolution, or we'll basically see revolutionary defeatism in action or whatnot, right? 1917, very, very big year. If for the past couple of weeks, if we've been dividing it up, or if we've been dividing these up or whatnot by just like a year by year basis or not, the next time we're actually going to probably divide it up by month basis, because 1917 is like super radical year. Coolio.